It's time for bookkeeping, beer, and BS.
How long ago did you get into the distribution side of the business? And did you get, it's not, I mean, like you talked with your Conquer coach about it. Did you get pulled into distributing from peers, or was it something that you said, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go find some customers? How did that?
Yeah, no, it was not my intention at all. Like, I think it really probably started at Conquer Summit like 2 years ago.
Okay.
Was just like,
the Tahoe. Is that the Tahoe one?
Yeah, the Tahoe. So
okay.
I think I joined Conquer in maybe October or November. And then I went, then we had Tahoe was like maybe 3 months later. Mm-hmm. So I really just was introduced to Conquer, and knew a few people, and really Chris Phillips and I, that was a really interesting story, but Chris actually reached out to me from Sengem, mm-hmm. When I first joined Sengem, and introduced me to Conquer. And was talking about the 5 stages of business, and I was telling him about my floor coatings business, and he's like,
and Chris was that before or after Chris started doing the floor coatings too? Because to then he started doing floor coatings, just kind of.
Yeah, Chris. That was this, like when I started in September. This was probably around, I don't know, it was probably about a year after I was in business. Like I signed up with Sengem, and then Chris called me. So. But yeah, Chris, I was explaining my business to Chris, and it kind of flipped around the conversation. And Chris is like, man, I'm really interested in this floor coat. He's like, the margins you're saying and everything. He's like, I'm really interested. He's like, I've got a couple of guys that have been wanting to kind of start into a small service business, and I've just been looking for what to get into.
Yeah.
And so at that time, I just pushed Chris towards the vendor that I was still working with, which was the original, one. And so Chris actually started, and he was kind of like me. He had the same training, and he was on this up and down roller coaster. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Chris, just stick with it. I was like, I'm going to come out. I went out and spent 2 days with Chris. And I was like, the whole thing that I need you and your team to understand is I have to get your team confident that they're completing these installs correctly. Mm-hmm. If I can get them built up in their confidence, you are going to just grow, because you're going to sell more because you're confident that your team has the confidence. And it's we just got to get it going. So I spent 2 days with Chris and his team. We went to a couple of jobs they had that were, needed to have some repairs, and we worked through those. And then we went and did a full install. And Chris was just he's like, man, this is great. Thanks for your help. And so Chris and I, really, we've had a really good friendship from, really before that, but it's just we really bonded over, the past few years. Mm-hmm. But Chris kind of it was almost like he planted this seed, you should be doing this. And even when I joined Conquer, he was a Conquer coach, and he was like, I don't think you really need to join because you're coaching me. At that point I was like, yeah, but I'm in my mind, I'm my own owner. I don't have a partner. I wanted accountability.
Yep.
Is what I was looking for Conquer for. And so actually Chris invited me to one of the little Conquer outings out at in Michigan at Josh's house. And
Automate Grow experience.
So, yeah, it was an experience. I think it was the last one they had at Josh's. And so then that's when immediately I knew I was in, was at a round table with Brandon, and I just kind of connected with everybody. Mm-hmm. And so from there on, I immediately joined Conquer, and then we got in in November. And then, so when I went to Summit, which was a few months later, so people have kind of heard about me in the floor coatings business from either Chris, because I think even at the experience event, Chris, talked about how he's growing his floor coatings business. And then I remember meeting Chris C there, and talking to him about he does grill cleaning, in Florida. Yep. Is that really a business? And we had some neat conversations, ended up meeting Dean Smith, who's now one of our, dealers. So it's all these little seeds were planted.
Yeah.
And then, when I went to Summit, I was approached by 2 or 3 people, and they're like, hey, I'd like to come out and spend a couple of days. I was like, sure, come on out.
Bring it on out.
Yeah. And so like, as like 2 to 3 to 5 people like were all interested in what this was.
And then they ask you, what do they owe you? And you're like, I don't know. You buy your own plane ticket and hotel room. And
yeah.
We'll
so if you come
here in town.
yeah. It's like, take me to dinner and I'll tell you a lot,
Yeah.
I think you wanted like Jared Skinner come in and spend a couple of days with me. And I think he was probably one of the first guys that come out after Summit. And like, I'm really picking Jared's brain. Like he come in and really helped us with our business and like talking about door-to-door sales and like he helped us kind of form our compensation model for pay for performance. And so it was like, we really shared a lot of neat ideas with each other. Jared's just an awesome guy. And so then like he kind of took off, I went out to Colorado in March, like after he came here, like right after Summit. And then I flew out and spent like 2 or 3 days with his crew. Nice. And like started his business in the Colorado. So, but, and then just from there, like, it was just like, somebody would hear about me and I would always get like Facebook messages, like, can you tell me a little bit more? And, so it's just like, it just kind of evolved. And so that's where my coach is like, we really need to look at like, how can you make this revenue model from
do something intentional with it now.
Yeah. She's like, you're creating like $1 million businesses for these other people. Like, and you need to like kind of see like, what is your part in this? So we've come up with some pretty neat, different things to be able to offer. And now it's kind of almost formed like this network. I think we're up to like 23 dealers. So we have like our own like Facebook group and we do like, everybody kind of helps each other. So it's like kind of my own little tribe. So it's been pretty awesome.